Hello, fellow planters and growers. I'm Rachel with Everyone Can Grow, and today I thought it'd be nice to show you how to make a mossarium. We start in the backyard of my apartment building with the invasive English ivy so I can greet ya. This stuff can grow from a single node, which is what I've got my fingers on right here, and it just took over Washington State. They grew it originally for decoration, and now it's northern kudzu is what it is. Alright, so onto the moss. I have a lot of different species of moss here, and I'm not sure what they are exactly. I remember the species for that was squarosa, but without the genus, it doesn't help us. Here's some this moss looks blue right now because it's desiccated, but it actually turns bright green, and it's a type of pillow moss. When moss dries up, it doesn't die, it just goes into dormancy, like this pillow moss here, which is still green because it's on actual dirt and not rocks like in the back there. And this pillow moss has some really nice sporophytes at the top coming out of it, so it's reproducing. Those little beauties is how it releases its spores. Unlike vascular plants like flowers and trees, these guys don't have xylem and phloem, and they just make spores. This is Kimbergia oregana. It's literally the only moss I remember from my moss class. I really got interested in mosses in that class, and it's one of the reasons that I like to look at them so closely. This is another pillow moss. This one's much more desiccated, but you know, this is just them going into dormancy because it didn't rain. So, to get started, you want to get everything you need together. We'll start with the 8-inch tongs and these little rocks here. You know, got them tongs. Clip, clip. Yeah, boy. So, you can see I've got some carbon up in here, and this is like a piece of puffed clay and pea gravel. Just good old pea gravel. You can buy them in a 50-pound bag for like $3 at Home Depot. And I'm using a Chambord bottle, I think it's called. Chambord? I don't know. I don't drink alcohol. My sister gave it to me. She gives me pretty bottles once in a while, and she drinks something cool, so she does that. I'm not into that. Anyway, moss. This moss was collected, I think, a couple weeks ago, and I just put water in some rocks and then laid the moss on top so that it could grow, kind of come back and get happy, and that's what's been doing. And I wanted it to be alive and awake when I'm using it, just so I don't crush it or crunch it, because it's so easy to break when it's dry and desiccated. Now, you want to remove your labels from your bottle. I already removed the labels here. It's got like this kind of well in the bottom that goes up. I don't think it'll be a problem though. I took off all the stickers, and I used some alcohol to get rid of everything, all the sticker residue. I have some techniques I can show you in another video on how to do this. I like this bottle because it kind of reminds me of a Death Star, and I really want to paint one to look like a Death Star. It's going to be so cool. Can't get that in there, so I'm going to poke it. Poke harder. Yeah, boy. Okay. This is just putting down a water table for your plants to grow on. So, like in the back, it's a gravel lot. It's literally what I'm doing right here. It's just a bunch of rocks piled up back there because I didn't want to have to mow the place. I live in that kind of slum, so you get what you get. But hey, I'm getting a lot of moss, so I'm just going to be happy and thankful that I have this opportunity to just gather moss behind my apartment. So I'm just going to keep putting some rocks and carbon in there with a little bit of dirt because I didn't clean it perfectly, but it's not a big deal. The carbon will keep the bacteria from being able to grow and make it septic, so I'm not too worried. And there's a lot of carbon dust in there. That's what's on my hand. It's actually carbon dust. I did take the dried moss out of the rocks because I'm reusing these rocks from some old project that I don't even remember, because I don't throw things away, and I suggest you don't either. Nature doesn't throw things away, it just recycles it and keeps using it. I didn't have to take the moss out because I thought I was going to be putting in a soil layer, but then I thought, you know what, it's not really worth it to put a soil layer in for this build because it's primarily just a moss build. So I could have just left that in there, and it would have just been more to hold moisture, and it wouldn't have made a difference to the moss. I'm trying to see how much rocks I have in this bottle, and I want to try to show you that you need about 1 inch of water table layer or false bottom is another word for it, where it can contain that water. You see one segment of your finger is about an inch, so that's a great way to measure it. And I'm just really trying to get a good view on that. It's hard with my camera setup. This is before I bought my tripod. These clips are kind of old. I always suggest to clean as you go, and like, you know, don't just leave messes to the end, because you're going to be tired at the end. So just clean it up as you go, and then you can rest and have a nice clean space to be at peace in, and that's always nice. So I just wanted to let you know that's what I'm doing. I'm going to wipe this up with my rag and make sure it's all clean, and now we're going to work on the moss. Now the moss is going to be kind of hard to get in there, so be patient, be slow. I just kind of poke it in there. I lost some footage, I think, of when I started doing this, but this is some of my earliest clips. So I'm just finishing this moss build now. It's been like a month, because I was just not happy with the equipment, not happy with the way the clips were coming out. Now I'm using my tongs and trying to find different techniques right now to get the moss onto the edges of the bottle, because they just want to pile up in the center, which makes sense, but it's not where I want the moss. You don't want to, I'm not poking the moss really hard. Moss doesn't have roots like vascular plants. It's just going to absorb all of its nutrients and water directly through its, well, it's not really leaves. They're much more simple than leaves, and they're called phyllids or phyllids. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I call them phyllids. So there's phyllids, and then the stem of the moss isn't really a stem, it's an axis, and it just absorbs everything right through it. That's why they stay so small and so short. You can see I'm trying out different tools. I got a chopstick, I got an old piece of bonsai wire that I'm actually going to pull out and start using to try to get this moss down in there. And you want to make sure you're getting contact with the rocks, so that as the moss piles up, the old moss will become your soil layer, and it'll get all of its nutrients from that false bottom water table layer that we made. Everything I do is replicating a true ecosystem that I've studied or seen. This ecosystem is actually just the ecosystem of the backyard of this building that I live in, and it's a gravel lot with moss on it. I mean, that's as simple as what I'm doing here. And I think that this is a cool way to really get yourself to observe nature and observe how things grow and how things are put together outside. And, you know, just have fun, be simple, and keep trying new things. And you can see I'm struggling, and it's hard, and it's not always easy to get things to work right, but just keep trying and don't give up, and you'll get there. I'm going to get there too, because I'm never going to give up. I'm going to get better at making video clips and making these videos, and that's how you get better. You can see me. I work off my bed, so this is still in my tiny bedroom, which is cool. That's what it is. Here comes the bonsai wire. Now this bonsai wire, and I would suggest this for anyone using a small neck bottle, get yourself a piece of copper wire. Holy smoke, did that work well, because I just rolled up the end of the wire, and I was just, look at this. I was able to just push it. I'm just pushing it right where I want it. And I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. Now this build gave me a lot of trouble. I ended up accidentally tipping it and turning it over, and oh no, did I make a mess of it. So it actually sat on my windowsill for 2 or 3 weeks. And then I've gotten back to it now that I have my camera stand in, and I can make better clips. Things are a lot less shaky. This is a makeshift stand I've been using in this video. See, it looks so good. Look how good it looked right there. And then I tipped the dang thing off camera. So I thought it looked kind of bare when I got back to it. So I clipped this little piece of ficus pumila out of one of my baby cages. And I'm just gonna stick it in there just to give it a little bit of height and flavor. And that's the end of that. And that'll be, you know, my beautiful little mossarium build. I was really happy with it after this. See, there's the top. I put the top back on it. You don't have to. You could use a cork. You could do whatever you want. I just reuse the tops of bottles when I have a bottle because I don't have a bunch of corks. You can see that getting it in there is easy enough. Just poof, there you go. It just sticks right in. This is a cutting, so it'll grow roots over time. Since it's in a nice humid environment, I don't think I'll have too much problems getting it to root. If it doesn't take though, I'll just keep putting them in there until one does, or I can get one from the root, and that, you know, that'll do. You can see all the damage, like all that moss that you saw in the previous clip is kind of turned upside down and turned over and wrong, and it's growing back, but it's going to take a while now. So now I think this little plant will help a lot, and the plant is fine. So anyway, this is all I have for today. I'll see y'all later. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.